Okay, good evening all.
More common than
This
we
is
think.
the August meeting of the Fire Commission. We'll begin the meeting by standing and honoring our flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a quorum present tonight, Commissioners, myself, and Kelsey, and Liaison O'Connor, and Fire Chief Beaudry are here. We have two excused absences, Kurt Kobolak and Kurt Corneffel. So we'll begin by, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I would like to delete item number 9, recruitment. Kurt Kovac put together a paper on that, and I would prefer having him present that when he's present. So I would like to take that off. This is not an addition, but I guess it's more of an explanation as to, if you look at item 6, the Girls That Go Off and Country Club, we had in our last week, it's the Police Fire Appreciation Day. So I think we ought to just add that. Item number 4, radios, that we have an action item. I don't know if we want to discuss that and then have an action item. Let's move item 4 down to the bottom. We can discuss it and then have an action item. Those are my suggestions. I don't know if anybody has anything else. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done. Next item is approval of the minutes from July. They were sent out in advance. Give you a second or so to review it, and then I'll ask for a motion on the minutes.
Yeah, we didn't do much. I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second. Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Okay, let's move to the discussion item. Chief, you want to give your report?
Chief report. As you can see, we have our rescue runs on page 2 and 3.
You know something, I made a mistake here before. We need to look at the expense reports.
Okay.
Moved down too quickly. I apologize. Let's go back to the expense report.
Expense reports is on, you should be your 4th and 5th, 6 pages.
I've looked it over, Chief, and I don't find anything that's out of the ordinary. I don't know about the other commissioners.
Is there anything that's out of the ordinary?
Negative.
I move we accept the expense report as submitted, please.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Okay, now let's move on to the chief's report and the run report.
Run reports 2 and 3, as you can see.
I was curious as to this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the top, this one with multiple injuries. Was this a bad accident?
This was a bad accident on Thoroughfare, and our patient crashed their car. They were from off the island, and they did have several injuries.
What was the accident?
They ran, I think it was Highland, ran straight down Highland into a tree on Thoroughfare.
Oh my gosh, they didn't stop at Thoroughfare.
Weren't from the island. They were I think from Ohio maybe, or somewhere off the island, but she did have multiple injuries.
The other reports look, there's similar kinds of things, the normal kind of things, Rusty, unless you have any that,
No, the rescues continue to increase, and this year looks like it's going to be another record year. We should, if things continue the way they're going, we will increase over what we had last year, and our call volume, again, will be up between, right now, projecting 5 to 10% over last year.
so we are down from the number of firefighters, but I think you're able to still cover everything efficiently.
That's correct. We are still covering our calls.
Have you had any?
We've got a couple of them that are, one of them's going to school right now. Another one has his schooling done. He's just putting in his probationary time. They will be coming on in the next few months, yes. The newest one's going to take a little longer. It's going to be a year. But in the next 9 months or so, our probationary member, one of them will finish out his probation time. He's been very good. One of our members we lost. He moved away. He worked in Auburn Hills, and he sold his house here on the island. He put it up for sale. I think it was sold overnight. And he moved to Franklin, which puts his commute to work much closer. Miss him. He was a good fireman, and he did a very good job. So he should, we're going to miss him.
Okay, anybody have any other questions on any of the runs, fire, rescue? Okay, let's move on to the sirens. Do the sirens and the radios go together, Rusty? Or?
The sirens are the sirens that we use when we're having a tornado or an event to warn the public. Right now, we've been getting some faults on our computer with the sirens. We had the siren company come out and troubleshoot the computer, and what we found out was that the way the sirens work, the computer sends out a radio signal to the sirens. The sirens accept that signal, and they go through a self-check. They make sure that the electronics are working, the batteries are okay, the doors are closed, nothing's been tampered with the sirens. And then once they go through that self-check, they send a radio signal back to the police department, and it says, this siren's okay, the next one's okay. And it does these self-checks twice a day, every day with these sirens. What was happening is the signal is going out from our radio to the sirens, but the radio, because it's so old, it's over 25 years old, the part that receives the signal back from the sirens has failed. So it's not getting that information back from that siren saying that siren's okay. It will receive a signal okay, so if we have a storm and we have to set the sirens off, they're okay, they can be set off. But they cannot send back a diagnostic stating that they're okay or the self-check. And the company that came out, they worked together with Herkimer, who works with the radio, And what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to replace the radios for those sirens. I got two quotes. The first quote you see, they sent us was for $7,200. And Herkimer, I asked Herkimer to take the lead on this because Herkimer will be working with them hand in hand. And he realized that they have an encoder in here and that we don't need an additional encoder. We have two already. So he said he asked them to revise their quote, and that saved us $4,300, almost $4,300. So I'm grateful we have Herkimer that understands these sirens and radios as well as they do. They just saved us $4,300. We didn't need the additional encoder.
So Chief, the first page that we have from West Shore Services, the first quote for 7,200 is really just there for information purposes?
That's information only.
Okay.
Yes, the revised quote is the next one, and the revised quote came in at $2,910. That's West Shore's portion of the work that needs to be done. And then it's going to require Herkimer to come out and install new antennas, and that's more in Herkimer's line of work. And that quote's going to be for $2,480.83. They're going to have to install new radios for the
And that's installing
all
what?
new antennas.
Antennas?
Antennas.
So Chief, if I can be the clerk for just a moment, I think West Shore Services, Inc. of Lake Michigan Drive in Allendale, Michigan, is a single source for us on this? Okay, and as is Herkimer Radio Service, because they also work on most of our radios here for the township.
Correct.
And so we're allowed to just accept these, in a sense, as single source bidders. And then I wanted to ask, I think we also, because they come in under $5,000, these are quotes that we can accept here administratively and don't have to take them to the township board.
As long as it fits the budget.
Well, if we approve it and it fits the budget,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I mean. We don't have to go to the township and ask for more money. We can
Well-
fund it out of the budget.
Correct. And these are repairs. These are something that both are single source. West Shore is really making this crucial repair to their own equipment for the equipment that's wore out. It's over 20 years old. And same with Herkimer. And time is of the essence. If we had a major storm, we don't want to be spending 6 months waiting on quotes from other companies that I don't even know if there are any out there.
And we've been satisfied with the work that they've done on the.
Both of them. They both do a good job, great job. I'm very happy with Herkimer.
Now, we're going to have to approve that expense. I guess that's going to be down in the action item as well. The radio,
That's a different item coming up.
okay, but the sirens, we're going to have that under action item as well. We're going to have to approve.
Yes, if
Yeah.
these, yes, I was assuming these were the action item.
Okay,
So-
yeah, these really should be together. The sirens and the radio, they'll both be under authorization to purchase the radios.
Is that for a different set of radios, or?
This radios here is for the handheld radios that we use. That's a different
Okay.
subject too.
Okay,
So
well,
we're gonna-
we don't have anything in the packet relating to those.
Yeah, those are here, yeah, that must be,
This one right here.
this Motorola,
Don,
Did I not?
let me see that real quick. The Motorola,
Okay. So what we need to do is add an action item number 2. I probably didn't get one in this packet, but
Yeah,
I
w-
remember seeing it on my computer. That's fine.
Yeah, we need two action items then.
So what we need to do is retroactively add an action
Correct.
for the purchase of the radio and antenna service for the sirens.
Correct,
So we got the purchase of the radios, and then we have the purchase of the antennas.
Yes.
correct, yeah. So,
Well, the handheld radios is the one that's currently on the agenda, but we also need to add an item to accept the quotes of West Shore Services and Herkimer Radio Service to upgrade and update the sirens.
correct. So we'll add that retroactively and you know, we'd move radios down to the bottom, but why don't we just discuss those now anyway?
So if you don't mind, Dawn, can I make that motion to add action item number 2? To accept the quotes from West Shore Services for $2,910 and Herkimer Radio Service for $2,480.83 to update and repair the sirens, period. And then we'll need a second.
Second.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approved. We had moved the radios down to the bottom, but we might as well discuss the radios now anyway.
Okay, our handheld radios that we use when we're on the fire ground, we go into a fire, etc. Those are sold exclusively by Motorola. And again, it's a single source, one place. We need two. We did an inventory, we're missing one. And these are pieces to us that are integral in a fire. If somebody goes down, needs to call a mayday, they have to call it over the radio. To purchase two from Motorola, you saw in your packet there, Jerry, I've got a quote there, $12,000 for the two. They're $6,000 a piece. I'm working on Downriver Community Conference to see if maybe there's some surplus radios out there that we can get first. If I can get my hands on surplus radios where we don't have to spend the $12,000, I will do that by all means first. And we're looking now. I'm not done looking yet. We haven't got answers back or emails. We got a couple of people or a couple of departments we're asking if they have any excess radios that we could have. But in the meantime, so far we haven't located any. So should we have to purchase those radios, you've got it in front of you. I don't have my copy with me. But it was $12,000.
If we approve this tonight, it would have to go to the township board. And that would be for September 12th, I think it is, the next township board meeting. So would you like to wait and see if you can get the radios for free before we
Yes.
make this motion?
Do you want to do that? Because the issue with it is these are things that pertain to life safety on a fire, things like that. And if it doesn't get on September, it gets pushed back, it's going to hamper us if we have a fire. So we could if we have to. That's why I was kind of hoping to get it passed here, then we could move from here to September 12th and put it on the agenda for the next township board.
Approve it. I think what we'd have to approve is this proposal unless we can get it at a lesser amount.
Mm-hmm.
That way you would have our recommendation of the township board. And then at that point, we could get it on the agenda for September 12th.
Yep.
Okay,
So you
our-
would send this to, you would give this to Derek and Brian to get on the agenda as the manager. Upon our approval, you would take this to Derek and Brian and make sure that it gets on, well, mainly to Brian, and I think Jim Budney puts things on the agenda, the clerk runs the agenda. So we have to add this, and you would have to do that tomorrow, because I think the drafts are already going out.
$12,000?
$12,000 unless we can get it from Wes with,
So we have to have a
Surplus.
motion to approve the $12,000 and,
or if we can get surplus at a less amount.
okay, so
So
how do you want us?
I'm thinking recommend to Township Board to approve proposal to purchase 2 radios, and then two Motorola radios, or from Motorola?
From Motorola, correct.
Motorola, not to, I guess, exceed $12,000, right?
No, it's 12,000, Jerry. What's the final figure?
$342.58, $12,342.58.
$58. So, recommend to Township, well, our motion is to recommend to Township Board to approve proposal to purchase 2 radios from Motorola for $12,342.58.
Correct.
Pending inability to procure radios,
Surplus radios.
surplus radios. Thank you, radios from local communities. Yeah?
I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket with the surplus if that falls through.
Okay.
Now, do we?
So that will be our motion,
And I second.
then Dallas will
Well, that'll
second,
come down after.
and now we can discuss it.
Okay, are we going to, why don't we do that when we get to our action items?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Rusty, will that fit within our budget?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, when we get down to the action items, we can, we'll do both the radios and the sirens. Unless there's any further discussion, Rusty, you want to move on to this MCI training?
MCI training is mass casualty incident training. We are working together with both the police and the fire, planning for an event if we should ever have one on the island, so that we are prepared. There was a group of members from the police department, from the fire department, and one from the township that went through a class last week, and it was a very informative class from a individual that he goes all over the country when there's a mass casualty incident. He was just down in Uvalde, Texas, 2 weeks ago, and what he does is he responds to all these, and he's stationed here in Farmington Hills. So he started telling us what we need to do to be prepared for such an incident, and he gave us the steps to continue forward. One thing he said that I did appreciate, he puts these classes on quite a bit, and he said, we are already farther than most people. He said he walks away from some of the trainings and realizes that they haven't started at all. We're well along in that regard, so if something should happen, we're not totally prepared. No one can be totally prepared, but we are definitely moving in the right direction, and we will continue. We're still doing more trainings. We have more things planned for the future, and we're moving forward with this.
So this will be continuous training.
This is continuous, yes.
I might just add that in the past, Fire Chief Murdoch and Police Chief Barron and other police chiefs and fire chiefs have organized also a training that included public officials. Either, in this case, I think it'd be important to do it with not just township officials, but also school officials, because those are some things that we fear.
They were there, by the way.
Okay,
Yes.
so board members were there?
School.
School members, school
Yes.
officials were there,
Yes.
okay.
Valerie Orr was there, the principal, the new principal for the high school. There was a couple individuals there as well. So it was very informative. They learned a lot, and it was interesting that they've been through some of this training as well. This was not the first time for a lot of people.
Okay.
I would say 90% of the room has been through several
Well, I
trainings.
know
over
the
Good
there.
that you continue on with the
Yeah,
training.
the township has a emergency plan, and I think everybody that's involved needs to be up to date on that. And I know we haven't done a training like that in a while, so I think it would be good to add that to the next step.
That's coming. We're getting everything together, getting organized, getting all our planning done. And sometime, I can't say when, but once we're comfortable with where we're at, then we'll do like we did before with the township. You remember when we brought in people from the township to do logistics, planning,
Right.
all of that. And at some point in time, we will
Okay.
set that aside. I just, right now, there's a lot of new people coming in as well.
Absolutely.
And so we've got to get them up to speed.
Mhm.
I've been through several of these trainings. Things change all the time. What I went through 5 years ago is completely different than what we're going through now.
Yeah,
But it's important that we keep up to date with what we're doing.
yep, excellent.
So we are being proactive with this. And hats off to Doug Carmack. He wants to get everybody on board, everyone trained, all the new ones, and he's been working diligently towards this, so I commend him.
Well, that's good. Thank you for that update. Do you want to move on to the Police Fire Appreciation Day?
Our Police and Fire Appreciation Day was last Wednesday at Groseal Golf and Country Club. We brought out a couple of our fire trucks, our ambulance, and a police car, and we were open for the public to come through, go through the trucks, the fire trucks, look at all the equipment, the tools that we have on the trucks. The kids love it. Well, all the kids that came up, they have questions for the firemen. They have questions about the ambulance. They have questions about the police car. There were police officers there talking to them. The parents were there. It was a very informative, nice day, beautiful weather.
So
And
well attended?
very well attended. We gave away some of the red fire hats to the little kids. They love that. We had some badges for them, the sticker badges that they like, and it was fun answering the questions for our little people that are so inquisitive and curious about the fire trucks and the police cars. And it was a couple hours, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we were there 4 hours or so. We really had a nice time all the way around. And thank you to John Paul for inviting us and calling and requesting this and putting this together. We've done it in the past, and it was kind of nice to start doing it again.
Yeah, the Country Club is very accommodating for the various activities on the
Well,
island.
they got a perfect parking lot to, you know,
Yeah,
go through and.
yep, you're right. Well, that's good. Okay, next item.
Next item is engine one, the turbo. We had some work done on that last week as well. It has a problem with that particular diesel engine. The V-Pod has a tendency to go out on it. Larry Yers is an excellent diesel mechanic. He came out, troubleshooted it. He's been working on these trucks for years. He has his own business, and he told us what to do, and then he told us who to get that could fix it for us. So we had it fixed the next day, which is good right now because everywhere you go, there's a shortage of labor. I was happy that Larry dropped what he was doing, came after work. I met him down there at 6:30, and he diagnosed the truck, told me what to do. And
Larry
again,
live on the island?
he lives on the island. I went to high school with Larry, and good people. He's always, anytime anytime we have a question, he's the guy to talk to. He's the best one with those engines. He knows them. And Larry always drops what he's doing and comes for the fire department. I can't thank him enough. So I really appreciate Larry. He's done this for us a couple times in the past, and he's the go-to guy. He's the guy you want to talk to.
That's the way the Payets were years ago.
And Payet's actually the one that fixed the V-Pod. So Larry said that Chris's son, he said this is something he can handle, and it's not something that's terribly complicated, tearing the whole engine down or something. But
That's good.
yeah, so we had that truck up and running the next day, and no doubt it's going to do this again. So I'm just kind of letting everybody know. Larry said he's got a customer up in Brighton who's got a fleet of these trucks, and every 6 months he's replacing the V-Pods on them. It's just this is unique to this engine. This is something that you just got to get used to, and
How much are the V-Pods?
they're reasonable. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but it's not a great deal of money. It's just part of the electronics.
Okay. And the labor cost?
Again, a couple hours.
Okay.
So I think to fix it, we $1,500, $2,000, somewhere along that line,
How many times? Twice a year?
roughly.
Oh, it's $3,000 to $5,000. Yeah.
Yes, just the nature of the beast, and it's something that we're going to be doing. Without swapping out the engine, it's not worth it. It's a good engine. It's just this goes with that engine.
Any other comments on it? This next one on the millage, you may recall the last meeting I asked you all if you could come with some ideas on how to best educate the public on this need. One of the things that I got in the mail, and I guess everybody else got it on the island, on this wastewater treatment plant, the improvements. This was a nice brochure that educated. I don't know who put this together for the township, but I'm wondering if someone would be able, if we could get something like this for the fire department.
Yes.
It's really a nice, easy, readable, informative thing. I assume it went out to everybody on the island.
And unfortunately, we don't have the local paper giving out
Correct.
information.
Well,
Do you know how this was put together?
I do not. I believe the DPS might have worked with a printer to do that. I think in terms of expenses, something like that is expensive. I don't know if we have the budget, but I think it's worth looking into doing a bulk mailing of a pamphlet like that. Also, we have a lot of opportunities through Communications Director Brian Friel to get information out via social media, Facebook, Instagram, and our Gross Eel Connect and Gross Eel website. And I think also outreach to the local, the two papers that do cover us on occasion, obviously the Island Beacon, which is based in Trenton, and then the Gross Eel one, which is of course based on Gross Eel. And so I think those are two sources that we might be able to use that will not incur an expense.
But I think we should have a plan in place to develop a communication.
Absolutely.
And because it's amazing what this fire department does. And I don't think the majority of the population understands that until they make a call. And we used to have when we had the Eel Squeal, it was every 2 weeks there was a column on fire calls, on police calls, and we don't have that information going out to the public anymore.
Obviously, we ought to contact Brian. Is that something you could do?
Yeah, I'm making myself a note right now to find out what we can do and also where that brochure came from,
Yeah, and
how it
maybe
was done.
How it was done, what it cost.
What it
and-
cost.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, and then, what else? I think you mentioned something else, Uta, that we,
Like public relations outreach to the local
yeah,
media.
yeah, Who's I guess we ought to contact the editor. See if,
And we do have connections with I think it's called the Grosse Ile Grand.
yes,
And the supervisor does a column in that on a regular basis. And he has asked other people, department heads, other officials to take a column. So we are able to do that. We can reach out to them about that as well. And then the Fire Association might also be able to do something. Again, all we can do is inform
correct.
on what we currently provide, what we currently do. The association might be able to do something a little more promotional. Also not over the top. You don't want to threaten, and say, if we don't pass this millage, we're all doomed. We have residents that come to the board meeting that do that for us already. So we don't need to scare people, I think, into voting for the millage. I think we want to inform people about the positives that this department provides.
Yes.
And the positives of having a volunteer force, at our disposal.
And the facts and figures, this is one of the few departments in the state where the insurance is such a good rate because of the
Yes.
fire department, fire and police department. And the fact that we're a volunteer, which means the cost of operating is not like it is if you were in Trenton or Wyandotte. So I think it's important that the community knows that.
Our firemen, our fire ladies, all of them work very hard. They're very dedicated.
Yes.
And they are all citizens here of this island. They all have a dog in the fight, and their dedication is to the citizens of this island. They work very hard.
And I think
And they're all volunteer.
if you did this appreciation day at the Grosse Ile Golf and Country Club, which is a limited clientele, island-wide, if you want to say it that way. I know every fall you do a fire open house.
We'll be doing it again this year as well, yes.
And so it'll be good to schedule that early into the season and invite the public, not just the kids. Get fire hats for the adults and let us all pretend. But I think those are always very successful outreach opportunities to the community.
We generally do our open house the first week of October, which is Fire Safety Week. And it's also, we use that together to be educational with the schools.
Mm-hmm.
We want to teach our children, our young ones, fire safety. And we do everything we can to teach them how to get out of a house, smoke detectors, what to do to be safe, what happens with a fire. We do all of this to save lives, and that's our goal. Our goal is to teach our citizens the importance of fire safety.
So you're going to talk to Brian about what he can communicate. Would he also be able to give us information on
I'll talk to Margie and Margie, the administrative assistant, and maybe someone in the DPS office. Lori might know, or
okay.
who actually put that together.
Want
I
this,
believe-
or-
Excuse me.
Katie Kime is the one that put that together.
Oh,
And
this?
yes, and we've talked to Katie. She's offered to help us. So,
Oh, good.
yes.
Well, congratulations,
Yeah,
Katie.
Katie did a beautiful job on that. And
Excuse
again,
me.
kudos to
What's your
Katie.
position in-
She is an unpaid intern.
Oh,
and
that's
she's
right.
going to be heading back to school here pretty soon.
Couple weeks.
But I do know, Jerry, that a couple of the firemen, they're working on getting her some information to put something. She designed it.
Oh, good. Well,
And-
that's good. So we're in contact with her on this.
We're working on
We'll
that.
have a couple more weeks and she'll be
Yeah.
gone.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's get on that. And then, Ute, as far as the article in the paper, are you saying that we, as an entity, along with other people who have other items, that were invited to put a piece together for inclusion?
Yeah.
Or would they have a writer who could interview us and put something in? What's the best way?
Well, we could do both, actually. I was going to suggest maybe a letter or an article written by the chairperson, possibly something written, put together by the chief, and then, or ask, I think Bill Stevenson does a lot of work with them.
That's the person I was thinking of.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same
That he
thing.
might then do an interview, and maybe he could do a tour of the facility and take pictures to add to the publication, maybe in advance of Fire Safety Week.
Good.
Do you want to contact Bill, Rusty?
I will get a hold of Bill. He was one of my teachers in high school and one of my favorite teachers.
He's a good man.
He's a good man.
Well, he writes nice articles. They're very informative. Okay, could we circle back by email or something within a week or so, because we need to get this thing moving. Maybe Uta, Rusty, what you all are going to do, you could send out after you've made your contacts and got some information, maybe you could email the rest of the commission and let us know where we stand.
Okay.
And if need be, we might need to get together again as a commission just to, because
Yeah.
November 8th is going to come along.
Yep.
We should move quickly on this.
Correct. So maybe after
the-
you made your initial contacts, if you wouldn't mind emailing all of us and
Okay.
letting us know.
We'll leave it up to Jerry to set the,
Well, I
we need
think
to have a meeting with.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the only concern about possibly having a vote on it is if the cost of the brochure or the mailing exceeds our administrative total. I don't see that we would dream to spend that much on that. So I think that we can just move ahead, and organic things like that are much more convincing and powerful to the public too. If it's an article in the paper, if it's something they see in social media.
Correct.
Another thing that we could do possibly is a postcard campaign where we and members of the association each reach out to 10 people with postcards, and we ask them to reach out to 10 people with postcards, and we kind of try to drive that out.
That's something the association, Rusty, at your next association meeting, could you address that? That would be, what,
Yeah.
early September?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I will propose it to him.
Okay.
And I think the absentee voter ballots go out early in October. So having a lot of this come in conjunction with the absentee ballots will be very good to aim toward the end of September, early October.
Okay, if you could all circle back to us all by email after you've made these various contacts, then we can decide whether we need to get together again.
I think we will, but I think let's get this ball rolling on it.
Correct.
I agree.
Okay.
I think we should get together as a commission just to
Well, yeah.
certify.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. Well, as soon as I get stuff back, we'll decide
Yeah.
when to meet. Okay, that's great. Well, that's good, that's good. These are all very good ideas, and I think that's, okay, we should move on to the action items.
Yeah, one more thing, Jerry. The other?
Oh, yeah, the other, what, do you have anything?
One more thing, Firecat came out last Friday and checked. They test our fire hose every year, which is what we're supposed to do. I think we had 10,000 feet of fire hose altogether that they tested. 10,990 feet of fire hose, 2.73% failed of our fire hose. Some of them were aged out because of their well over 30 years. Others had physical failures where the hose burst, and that's why we That's why we test them, and you can see in the pictures, these are some of the hoses where they failed under the tests. So better to have them fail here in this condition like this than to happen on a fire. And that's the reason why we're required to have them tested every year.
So now what do you do with those that fail?
Generally, some of them, if we can use them, we use them for the car washes, things like that. Other ones, if somebody wants them, we give them to them. Sometimes they'll use them to cover their downboards on their docks.
What is usually the failure? Is it a hole in the hose?
It could be anything. You can see
Okay,
this
okay.
one right here. The interior of the hose
Yeah, bursting.
came inside, came apart. Other ones, they blew on the outside. The outer jacket blew.
Yeah.
Some of them were, the couplings themselves blew apart. And this company, what they do is they come here to the airport in front of the hangar. They have a trailer that they hook them up to, and they pump them up to the required pressure to make sure that they hold. And if they fail, this is the place that they fail. So we don't want them flying apart on a fire scene, on the fire ground.
A normal periodic review, is that it is? Is it once a year or once?
Once a year, we do them.
So
now-
we've budgeted for this.
Oh yes, this has been ongoing for a while.
And it's important that we replace the hoses if they're bad.
Yes, when the hoses go bad, then we buy new ones. And hoses and
And
cheap
that's in the budget too.
part of our equipment, correct. It's what it costs to run the business, and it's something that we have to do. This is
Well, it's
all,
important.
it's required, correct.
So, the ones that failed are quite a few years old. It is, I mean,
25 years,
that our hoses last this long.
Yes. 31 years. One of the hoses here,
25, 25, 16, 14, 15.
yes. So,
31 years.
31 years. And I would
That's older
say,
than some of your firemen.
yeah, oh yes, that's the lifespan of some of this equipment. So we take care of our stuff. We get as much out of it as we can, and like everything else out there, it's every piece of equipment is on a slow march to the junkyard. We try to make it last as long as we possibly can and slow that march down.
And the hoses are different now than they were 30 years ago.
Nothing lasts forever, unfortunately. It's just it's responsible to replace what has failed, and we don't want anybody getting hurt because of a hose.
It's amazing that they last this long.
Yeah.
I have to replace my garden hoses every year.
Oh, exactly.
Well, they're not made with the same quality they were 30 years ago either.
All told, we have, as you can see, almost 11,000 feet of hose.
Yeah.
Those trucks hold quite a bit. It takes quite a bit of hose to fight a fire, and we use them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, we all set to move on to the action items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I think you were the scribe on putting
I've been writing these things down. So
So,
the first.
yeah, the radio. You want to do the radio first?
radios, I would like to make a motion that the Fire Commission recommends to the Township Board to approve the proposal to purchase 2 Motorola handheld radios for $12,342.58, pending our inability to procure surplus radios from the local communities
At a lesser cost.
at a lesser cost.
Support.
Is there any discussion further?
And then we pointed out that this item is budgeted?
Correct.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's move on to the sirens then.
Okay, action item number 2, would like to make a motion that based on the recommendation of Fire Chief Beaudry, that the Fire Commission authorizes the purchase from single source providers, West Shore Services, Inc., for $2,910.00, and Herkheimer Radio Service for $2,480.83 to update, repair, and upgrade the emergency sirens.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Are no members of the public here tonight, so we will not have public comment, and so
I
no
move.
further business. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. This was a very fruitful meeting, and I thank you all for your input into this.
And keep
So,
us in the loop and
Yep, I will do so.
our meeting